Good evening, ladies. We'll begin with our top stories. And Cameroonians continue to decry the persistent increase in the prices of bread in the markets. Retailers say not only the quality has changed, the quantity too is a major problem. Meantime, bread consumers are already thinking of alternatives to wheat flour produced locally, such as plantain, cassava, cocoyams, to name but these few. And 3 young men have been killed at the Bamenda neighborhood in Bamenda subdivision. Reports say they were riding on a bike for a private visit to upstation Medankwe Sunday when the unfortunate incident happened. And 8 bills have been tabled before the People's Representative for scrutiny. The bills include, among others, that authorizing the President of the Republic to ratify the agreements on the International Solar Alliance. Those were major stories. Details right ahead. Good evening once more. Cameroonians continue to decry the persistent increase in the prices of bread in the markets. Retailers say not only the quality has changed, the quantity too is a major problem, which the increased prices from 125,000 francs to from 125 francs to 150, and the one for 150 to 200 francs a CFA. Udmukusumi, when talking to some traders and consumers, a story. Meantime, bread consumers are already thinking of alternatives to wheat flour produced locally, such as cassava, sweet potatoes, and plantain flour, but prices are discouraging. However, experts say Cameroon is not ready to produce the quantity that can satisfy demand. Gladys Ambodibang has more on that story.
Thoughts of alternatives to wheat flour have clouded the minds of many Cameroonians as prices of wheat flour and bread have surged. Staple food like cassava, sweet potatoes, rice and plantain are processed locally, but experts say Cameroon is not yet ready to depend solely on locally processed flour since the quantity cannot meet local demand.
Last year, for instance, we have imported close to 980,000 tons of wheat. It means that if you want to produce something that will come as a substitute, as an alternate of what wheat is doing, we have to produce a lot of cassava, a lot of Irish potato, a lot of potato also. Unfortunately, it's not really possible to substitute the flour made up of wheat by what we have here, cassava, potato, Irish potato or yam. Is really impossible at the present stage.
The prices of these alternatives seem to be a discouraging factor to consumers. Nevertheless, manufacturers and experts believe government subsidies could go a long way to increase production and resolve price issues.
All over the world, bio products are not cheap. They don't come easy because we don't use fertilizers. We're trying to be natural. Still, most importantly, you think of what the government spends, hundreds of billions to import. I think they could still, in a way, us, it's a social responsibility to see that they assist those of us, the transformer, to see that we could produce more and then the prices are highly subsidized so that it could be within the reach of every Cameroonian.
According to these economists, Edmond Quete, increase in the price of flour stems from mere speculation from importers, arguing that the effects of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict will rather be felt on consumable products in the days ahead.
Gladys Ambodiban reporting that now 8 bills have been tabled before the People's Representative for scrutiny. The bills include, among others, that authorizing the President of the Republic to ratify the agreement on the International Solar Alliance, that modifying and competing certain provisions for Cameroon finance law, and that for banking secrets in Cameroon, the different ministers concerned will have to present and defend the projects, given all arguments, while parliamentarians need to adopt such bills. More in the following story with our reporter, Beatrice Ngamu.
The first bill includes that to authorize the President of the Republic to ratify the amended framework agreement on the establishment of International Solar Alliance, ISA, signed last October the 2nd, 2020 in Yaoundé. Ratifying the framework agreement is in line with the implementation of Cameroon's national energy policy, notably regarding renewable energy developments and with government international commitment. And this will go a long way to boost energy supply and the headaches of power cuts. The Minister of Water Resources and Energy will defend the bill, assisted by the Minister of External Relations. That will be handled by the Foreign Affairs Committee. The other bills includes that for the ratification of Ordinance number 2021 of 29 December 2021, modifying and completing certain dispositions of the law number 2020/018 of 5th December 2020 for a finance law for the Republic of Cameroon for the year 2021, alongside also the bill on banking secrets in Cameroon. Another bill that was also tabled is the bill for the protection of national road assets. The adoption of the bill will help to put in place a legal framework that should underpin the actions included in the National Development Strategy 30 with regards to repairs and maintenance of national road network, 90% of which is made up of earth roads. The Economic Affairs, Planning and Regional Development Committee will handle that bill, to be presented and defended by the Minister of Public Works. These are amongst the 8 bills tabled during a plenary sitting chaired by the Senior Vice President, Honorable Hilarion Etong, before the President's Conference at the Cabinet of the House Speaker of National Assembly, which was preceded earlier in the day by another plenary announcing the members of the 9 committees of the National Assembly.
I will take you to the northwest region of Cameroon, where 3 young men have been killed at the Bamenda training will leave downtown Bamenda, were riding on a bike for a private visit to upstation Medankwe yesterday Sunday, when at a nightfall they crossed into an area reported to be out of bounds for motorbikes, thereby attracting Meanwhile, almost the same time, still on Sunday evening, a man by name Anti, a vehicle, a panabiter by profession and metal quarters, Bamenda 2 subdivision, was shot on the steering wheel of his car by some men on a motorbike right in front. We'll certainly come back to that in a subsequent edition of Newscast. We stay in the northwest region of Cameroon to talk about Olivia, who was a lecturer in the University of Bamenda and other state university, died under unclear circumstances. More on the story with our reporter, Regina Leketana.
It needed the military to break open the door before extracting the corpse of Dr. Amabo Olivia from her house at the Ayaba Street neighborhood in Bamenda on Sunday, March 20th.
We've been looking for her for too long. When we call, we don't even know her whereabouts. It's went to a family meeting. She was not sick from the last time we talked with her. She was not sick. She was very fine. I meet with her in Bambili every day.
The about 45-year-old lecturer of linguistics of the University of Chang had recently been appointed head of teaching at the Faculty of Education of the University of Bamenda, where she was last seen on Thursday. Since then, all attempts to get her on phone turned futile. Among the sudden onlookers were neighbors and colleagues.
I started calling her number. It was not going through because we had an appointment to draw the timetable for the second semester on Friday morning. So from Thursday night, her number was not going through. So one of our colleagues thought it wise to come to her house this morning or yesterday. She came there and still called, the number was not going through. And we went back. And then again, she came again today. And just for them to discover that flies were coming out from our door.
Medics who examined the corpse in the presence of the judicial police did not reveal what could have knocked life out of the Spinster University lecturer who had been living all alone since arrival in Bamenda, as she still shuttles between Chang and Bamenda for work purposes.
Now, Cameroon's western neighbor Nigeria has begun feeling the pinch of the 5-year crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Separatists bent on obtaining independence and now exporting the fight to parts of the southeastern Nigeria, harboring people fleeing the conflict. More on that story with Tariq Edivan Jr.
For the past 5 years and still counting, Cameroon's army has been battling pro-independence fighters across its English-speaking parts. Previously delimited to the north and southwest regions, the violence over the past few months appears to be spilling across the border into southeastern Nigeria and stoking fears for both locals and the swelling numbers of displaced Cameroonians on the run. Manga, a remote Nigerian locality accessible only by boat along the boundary with Cameroon, has recently witnessed fatal incursions by the Cameroonian separatist fighters. The latest attack reportedly left at least 5 people dead, including a local chief, and Shiban Tikari, chairman of the Takum local government, says the situation is sufficiently worrying.
The governor of Taraba State have met with the Mr. President in Abuja requesting the posting of Navy and Air Force across the boundary to checkmate the Amazonia.
Abubakar Manga, a brother to the late chief, says the most recent quote-unquote Ambazonian attack last November was particularly violent. He says the siege spanned over 4 hours, with the Cameroonian gunmen targeting anyone on the move, including children. The whereabouts of 21 villagers remain unaccounted for.
Da harbe bindiga banda ba mu taba ji ba mun ji shi kuma sai karan bindiga ba ran manta ba mun ji bindiga daban-daban.
Tikari says despite the observed respite, threats of similar incursions continue to linger as displaced Cameroonians cross the border for refuge. Figures from the United Nations indicate at least 1 million Cameroonians have been forced to flee their homes since the outbreak of the conflict, with Nigeria hosting over 70,000.
And that was it for this edition of the Primetime Newscast, the English language and Canal, the International. Thanks so much for watching. We have news in the French language at exactly this never Senkan or Alain Gislain Kanga. As for me, I'll be back same time tomorrow. Good night.